Beaming to you from Not a Financial Advisor Land with Not Financial Advice, I need to talk to you about the Cbdc. Okay, so here we have the Coinbase CEO says Usdc will become de facto central bank digital currency. I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so. I think that the whole point of a central bank digital currency, Cbdc, is that they want control. So this CEO is saying crypto winners come for one of the most established companies in the industry. Okay, the giant exchange disclosed on Thursday that net revenue for the third quarter was down 28% for the previous one. And this is why if you don't own your digital currencies on an actual ledger, if you don't hold them off the exchange, you do have that counterparty risk. I do hold some in the exchange, but I recognize that it is a risk. It's a counterparty risk. I think that they're going to kill the dollar. We saw it while we were going through the last couple of years where they were saying that there were coin shortages. They were saying that you could transfer germs and stuff via dollars. You had a lot of companies that said that all they were going to be accepting were credit cards. What they have right now is essentially the same as the problems that they're saying that they have with cryptocurrencies. There's black market dealings, gray market dealings. People are getting paid under the table, and the government wants their piece of everything, and they want to control everything, and so they don't like cryptocurrencies. Well, the answer for them is to come out with their own cryptocurrency so that then they can control us. They can see everything that we're doing. They can go back and look at every transaction. People aren't even going to be able to have yard sales or sell things secondhand without the government seeing what it is that they're doing. They don't like the fact that you can move cryptocurrencies around and escape the prying eyes of the government. That's one of the big problems. And we've seen that with a lot of people. I have not personally been mining cryptocurrencies, but I do know some miners, and they hide that money. They spend it in ways that they can't be tracked, and they've been able to become very wealthy doing that. But that is coming to an end, in my opinion, because the government doesn't like it. In the same, it's lesser risk for them when it comes to paper dollars because it's harder to move around, it's harder to spend. That's where you get into money laundering issues. People have to wash that cash. If any of you watched Breaking Bad, they bought the car wash so they could launder that cash in so that they could legitimately buy things that were on record with the money that they got. We'll call them ill-gotten gains. Depending on where you stand morally, you can choose to think of them as ill-gotten or not, but the government definitely thinks of them as ill-gotten. The same thing is going on with cryptocurrencies, and it's even easier for people to move it around, so they don't like that. They've been having that problem for decades with cash, so they don't like that. They want to get rid of it all. So they're going to be trying to get rid of cryptocurrencies. They're going to be trying to get rid of cash, and they're going to do that via a digital dollar. They already tried in a couple of the bailout packages to slip a digital dollar in there, and that is one of the priorities of this administration is to get that digital dollar rolled out. And so I think that we're going to see it very soon. There's going to be a bank holiday where they say, you have a certain amount of time to get your cash in there, and then paper money is going to be null and void. So in my opinion, this guy is trying to say that the USDC will become the de facto central bank digital currency, and his reasoning is that it's backed 1-for-1 with reserves of cash and treasury bills. But the bottom line is the federal government is not going to allow that. The central banks, the world banks working in unison with each other, the international banks around the world are going to look to our central bank to come up with a solution, and their solution is going to be their own digital currency. But it's not going to be one that you and I can mine. It's not going to be one that we can move around without their prying eyes. They're basically going to be able to see everything that you do. They're going to be able to manipulate everything that you do. They're even going to be able to stop you from doing that. So they will be able to freeze your assets a lot easier. Right now they go out and they go to all these banks and they freeze assets and stuff like that. But I feel like you're probably going to have an account with your number on it, and they will be able to freeze that account across all financial institutions. And that's what they want. It's not going to be one that's metered either, like Bitcoin, where there's a specific number that you get to and then you can't get any more Bitcoin. They'll be able to just add zeros to it to inflate the currency even easier than they are now. So that's why you're going to see the central bank digital currency come out, replace the dollar. They're going to try to replace all cryptocurrencies with it. Now, a cryptocurrency with a specific use case, hopefully like Omi, that is tied to specific NFTs that you can use to transfer back and forth between NFTs. Hopefully that will survive. But it's a huge risk right now that we face because they are under attack. They're under attack by the central bank. The central bank isn't even a United States, the Fed is not a United States agency, even though they like to pretend that they are. And Congress has given them the power to make our money and control our money. They're going to come out, they're going to give it to their crony buddies. They're going to use it for their own personal gain. They're going to, they're not going to even have to print it into oblivion. They're just going to inflate it into oblivion by adding zeros to it so that they can steal your actual assets. Because how much easier is it for them to add zeros than it is to produce those assets? So they're going to be using, just like they've been doing since we came off the gold and silver standard, they're going to be using basically money that was created out of thin air to buy real goods. And they accumulate wealth that way for them and their buddies and the companies that they cater to in order to keep the votes that they need to stay in office, in order to keep the people in the central bank that they want to keep in the central bank. But the bottom line is, I don't believe Usdc is going to have any kind of ties to the federal government. What you're going to see is that USDC gets replaced by the digital dollar. And I assume that's what they'll call it, because that's what they were calling it in the bailout packages that they were trying to produce. And this is something that I've been watching and looking at and actually looking forward to for years, is this digital dollar coming out so that they can control you, they can spy on you, and they can make you act the way that they want you to act. They're probably going to pair that with some kind of social credit score where you can only buy certain things if you meet that social credit score. They're going to be able to limit what you can buy, where you can buy it, and who can buy it. So that's going to be something that the federal government is going to get their fingers in. I feel like it's inevitable. It's probably going to happen sooner rather than later with the current administration that we have, because it is a priority for them, and it's something that we've already seen people try to stick into those bailout packages. So it's coming down the pipe. It's something that I'm going to talk to you guys more about. I'm going to try to let you know what the connotations of that is, how that's going to limit you, the goals that they have in place for that. But I saw this article and I was like, I just have to go out and tell people what I think about it, because I don't think that the USDC, this guy's hoping, of course he's hoping because they have such huge holdings of it, but I think he's feeding you a line. I think he's feeding you a line of BS that is not actually going to come to fruition, because the federal government can't control it, and that's their goal. And you can look at the tax code and see that's their goal. You can look at all of the laws that get passed and know that's their goal. All the way from the federal government, well, you've got the WEF, the World Economic Forum, that has their goals. They feed it down to the federal government. The federal government feeds it down to the states. The states feed it down to the local level, and people buy it hook, line, and sinker. And it's all to make small groups of people insanely wealthy. And what he's talking about is not going to make the correct small group of people insanely wealthy, and it's not going to give the federal government the type of control that they want. So this is something that you and I need to be on the lookout for. This is something that is going to impact our lives in all across the spectrum. It's not something that we're going to be able to escape or avoid. So we need to plan ahead and do what we can in order to mitigate the risks that come along with this new central bank digital currency. And so I will come back with videos on the plan, show you proof that they have this plan, and talk about how we can mitigate the risk, talk about what you guys think is going to happen with this, see if you even think it's reality. But the bottom line is they've been working on it for years now. You've got people online that even say that, if you knew who invented Bitcoin, that you would run from it. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I do think it was probably a trial run so that they knew how to implement this CBDC. And I don't know if it's from the world stage, or I don't know if it's on our national level or on another country's national level. But what I think happened is that Bitcoin was, since we don't know who created it, was probably created by government, and it was a trial run to get people to accept it, to get people to adopt it, and then come in and say, hey, we have the solution worldwide. And it's going to be this central bank digital currency. Now, it's going to come with some conveniences. So that will be nice, and that you'll be able to transfer money around the world very easily, very quickly, probably inexpensively. But it's coming with a lot of risk and a lot of control that we're giving up to them too. So anyway, put down below how long you've been thinking that the central bank digital currency has been on its way. Tell me if you agree with me. Tell me the benefits that you think it'll bring. Tell me the risks that you think it'll bring, because this definitely needs to be a forum for us to plan ahead and arrange our assets in a way that they're going to be least impacted. But man, I am telling you, they want control. They want to be able to manage who and what and where you buy, what you buy. And you can see that from the last several years, where they were basically directing funds to specific companies, cutting off funds to other companies, and picking the winners and the losers. And that's what they're going to be able to do even more easily in the future once the central bank digital currency comes out. Okay, guys, so I will talk to you later. But this is something that has been heavily on my mind for years, even more so in the last several months. And I feel like it's coming very quickly now that we see people in the mainstream talking about the adoption of a federal digital currency. They're already setting us up in order to accept it, but it's not going to be the one that they tell you in these mainstream articles, and it's not going to be as beneficial as what they tell you either. Okay, guys, so I will talk to you later.